That is Richard Webb in the brand new Spire, and alongside him is number 2. That is the Mattel of Michael Roots as the race gets underway. 20 minutes of racing, a bit of a swerve off the line for number 33, Daniel Ashby then. He's one of the newcomers, but it looks like it's 88 Richard Webb who's got the lead then from number 2 Michael Roots in second. Ryan Yarrow is third. Bit of action further back. Paul Smith coming through the field, a spin for number 77. That is Matt Thomas. And also off the circuit, I think was Stephen Dean briefly as well. But it's certainly Richard Webb that's leading the way from Roots and Yarrow at the moment.
Yeah, I think the spinner there, Matt Thomas, might have got a bit of a touch there into that, but hopefully everyone's going to get back underway. A good start there from Jonathan McGill, who's moved up to 4th. Here's Paul Smith, who has had all sorts of problems with his Mattel, the multiple Formula V champion, returning to Sports 1000 this weekend. See how far up the order he can get. There's last year's champion, though, Ryan Yarrow. There's second place man Michael Roots, who finished second in the championship last year, but getting away is Richard Webb. He's not been in a Sports 1000 car for a few years, has he? But he's going straight into this. There's Paul Smith. He's got about half the cars passed already in that Mattel. But Richard Webb in the Spire up front, getting away from Michael Roots, and Yarrow third. McGill going well in 4th. Dan Clues making his championship debut in 5th. And it's 8 for Paul Smith. Not yet at the completion of the first lap. There is, though, Dan Clues, and this is another brand newly built car for this year, the Mattel. But Jonathan McGill is hanging on to P4 ahead, and Paul Smith, I think, gets 7th there up the inside into the hairpin to get ahead of Paul Rogers returning to the category this weekend.
Yep, so it's Richard Webb, the man behind RLM, the championship sponsor, the director of that company that leads the race at the moment. The gap is 1.38 seconds at the moment over Michael Roots in second place in the Mattel Cars run machine in second place. Then in third place it's Ryan Yarrow in his self-prepared Spire number 1. And then in 4th place at the minute is Jonathan McGill, number 72. Jonathan losing out a bit at the start. Colin Chapman, he went backwards a few places, didn't he? He's back in 6th place, maybe now 7th place, in fact, with Paul Smith, I think, ahead of him as well now. Yeah,
Paul Smith's just got 5th, actually, ahead of Dan Clues. A lock-up here there for Phil Hutchins, who's moved into a Spire, into a Mattel this year from a Spire. He was always really run by the Mattel outfit, wasn't he? But now he's in one of their machines. Here is Paul Rogers, who's now got ahead of Colin Chapman as well. So Chapman's dropped to 8th, and these two drivers have been around this paddock for a long time, haven't they? Paul Rogers returning after a few years away, and Colin Chapman now has got his Spire into his traditional race livery.
Yeah, that's right. Paul Rogers formerly raced the Contour, didn't he? But this now, I think, the ex-Richard Morris car that he's in.
4th now for Paul Smith. He's got ahead of Jonathan McGill into the complex. There's Dan Clues behind. So how far up the order can Paul Smith get it? He's going really well so far. But Richard Webb across the line there, you can see, is the race leader, ahead of Roots and Yarrow. The gap is 2.8 seconds. And then here, Dan Clues now is trying to get himself up ahead of Jonathan McGill. Can't quite do it, though, into Clairvaux. Lap times are only a few seconds away from the lap record. So the rain maybe a little different to the tarmacking, but not too bad.
I think only a brief shower, though, so it might well dry out and the times drop as the race goes on. 16 minutes of the race still to go there. We're watching Dan Clues just go through shot, the number 8 car, the 2020 F1000 champion, just sandwiched in between there. Jonathan McGill, number 72, and 43 Paul Rogers, and behind them in 8th place now is number 63 Colin Chapman, the Sporting Cup champion from last year, or was he the Masters champion? I forget now off the top of my head. But we watched that battle go through Barcroft up towards the right-hander at Sunny in, and then Sunny out, double apex right-hander there. But I think this is going to be a pretty competitive part of the grid this season. Out front, though, Paul Smith, I can see, has made it up to 3rd place now. He's got past Ryan Yarrow. So Paul Smith up to 3rd position, ahead of the reigning champion and the champion of the last 2 years, Ryan Yarrow, as number 88. Richard Webb continues to lead by an increasing margin.
Yes, but Paul Smith on the previous lap wasn't lapping much slower, so Smith, can he get 2nd away from Michael Roots before the end? He's just over 3 seconds behind. But Ryan Yarrow, his pace isn't quite what it was last year, is it? They're in now 4th position. He's lapping actually 3 seconds slower than race leader Richard Webb, who is now only a few tenths away from the lap record, so track conditions are pretty good. There's Smith though, and Ryan Yarrow now he's got perhaps someone to chase. Going to go with Paul Smith as they head down towards Tower Bend. Behind, Jonathan McGill's having a good run there in 5th place, but here is the reigning champion, Ryan Yarrow, bouncing around. And the Spire then chasing the Mattel. These two cars sort of run themselves, aren't they? Paul Smith with his dad running next to the Mattel awning. And both drivers have done their own modifications to the cars, as you can do in the Sports 1000 Championship.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Yarrow has been tending that car himself for a little while now. He's running with a 2009 Honda CBR 1000 RR engine in. It's the ex-Billy Oldbone car. That's the driver who originally raced it as a works Spire machine for Ryan Yarrow, who is 31 years of age, from Bury in Lancashire.
Just behind them, Dan Clues got past Jonathan McGill in the background, a shot into the complex to get 5th, the former F1000 champion. And now Paul Rogers and Colin Chapman are getting involved, but Ryan Yarrow now is fighting back. Now perhaps there's a bit more grip out there that he's confident to work with. Was trying to get ahead of Paul Smith into Clevo. Couldn't quite do it, but for 5th, or it's Clues, but then for 6th, it's Paul Rogers has leaped over the curve, which sort of scared Jonathan McGill into the gravel trap, but he did make the move, and he kept ahead of Colin Chapman. Not sure if that was all intended, but it's kind of worked out for him.
Yeah, and has McGill been able to continue? Yes, he has, so, but has been delayed by all of that. It's given Clues a bit more daylight, though.
Fastest lap for Richard Webb, 1:24.34, which is over half a second underneath the previous lap record, and only 100 slower than he went in qualifying this morning.
So Richard Webb, the Leicestershire man, leading the way. Of course, he previously raced in a front-engine Spire in the RGB Championship, as it was then. It's now morphed into Sports 1000. But this, the fight for 3rd and 4th place, is happening about 4.5 seconds behind 2nd place man Michael Roots in the Mattel. There you can see Roots going through shot, and he was pretty successful during the course of last season's racing. But at the moment, just running 2nd here. There's Clues going through, and Paul Rogers and Colin Chapman. McGill has survived. And then it's James Foley in the... sorry, that's Matt Thomas in it, then James Foley. So Thomas got ahead of Foley on this lap.
Remember, Thomas spun at the start of the race. He's got himself into the top 10, and he's only slow in the top 4. So it's a fantastic drive here from Matt Thomas. He did well at the end of last year, didn't he, at Oulton Park?
He did.
So he's sort of carrying that pace into this race. Didn't qualify so well, but he in this... conditions which probably aren't as good as they were this morning. He's lapping 5 seconds quicker, so obviously problems this morning, but going really well now in the race despite that spin early on.
That's right. Well, all credit to him in the number 77 car, the London driver. So that is the car of number 21, Phil Hutchins, then chasing after James Foley. Foley returning to the championship after a few years, I think in the same car. Is that the ex-David Whale car as well, I seem to remember. Maybe making that up. I think it might have been David's car in the past as well. Coming up towards half distance in this race, as it almost looked as if the Mattel of Hutchins was going to make a move on Foley there at Tower Corner, but it didn't work out.
Up front, Paul Smith, now he's got the 3rd, isn't catching Michael Roots, so 3rd looks the highest he's going to be able to get. Although this is a slightly longer race than our previous one, 20 minutes for the RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship. Just
looking out of the window at the complex there, was a bit of a twitch there for Paul Smith as he came into the complex that time, and I thought it might have given Ryan Yarrow more of a chance to attack than it did, but now they've worked their way through the hairpin. Probably that sort of worked itself out. But they go over the line, and he's in the tow as they head down towards Clervaux Corner. Is Ryan Yarrow. I don't know if we can get a view of that, but no, it wasn't close enough to make it work in any case.
Behind, Paul Rogers has got on terms now with Dan Clues. So after that sort of moment up here at Clervaux on the last lap over the curbs for Rogers, he's pushing on, he's going quicker than Clues ahead of him. They turn their way into Hawthorne. You can see out the window, the rain has returned. And up at Tower, Ryan Yarrow was trying to go around the outside of Paul Smith. Couldn't do it, just caught a glimpse of that. Oh, he spun though, coming out the corner. Ryan Yarrow, the champion from last year. There he is, going across the graph. We said it started to rain again, and that's just caught Ryan Yarrow out. How many more drivers are going to be caught out by that? That was the first time he probably got to that part of the track when it was a bit more slippery.
And he is going to lose places here because he's rejoined ahead of these next group of cars, but he's not got the momentum, so he's going to lose probably 3 places.
Or not.
Or not. Well, no, he's driven a very wide spy there. You'd have thought that the next group would have been able to pass him, given that he was coming from a virtual standstill there. Still not got the momentum there, and so Dan Clues thinks about a move going into Sonny. He leaves the door open then on the inside for Paul Rogers, but he can't make that work.
About half the grid involved in this battle, aren't they? Because I think Matt Thomas and Jonathan McGill have caught this group as well.
They have. Thomas is right with them now, and he's got past McGill, in fact, as they go into the complex that time. So he's up to 8th place now. Matt Thomas, number 77, having dropped right back with that spin on the opening corner.
Yeah, that's right. So, really interesting race. We've still got half the race to go. It feels like a lot's happened. Out over the curve. Matt Thomas was massively sideways in full drift mode coming off the hairpin. So he's fully pushing on. But yeah, the lap times have gone out by 2 or 3 seconds on this lap with that rain that I think's passed again. So it's a really showery conditions here at Croft Circuit today. And Matt Thomas again is sideways. He seems to be fairly happy with that though, doesn't he? And then he turns his way through Hawthorne, so he's right on the back then of Colin Chapman as they turn their way up towards Tower Bend. He goes to the left-hand side of the racetrack. That'll give him the outside line for Tower. Then he jinks to the inside, brakes desperately late over the hump, and he goes through then. So that's Matt Thomas up to 7th. He's got himself ahead of Colin Chapman, who's going to try and fight back, heading down into the S's. And I think in all of this, Ryan Yarrow started to pull away again from this group, hasn't he?
He has, but what price Matt Thomas for 4th place here? That's very much on the cards, I would suggest. If he can keep up this rate of progress, as Richard Webb's going to come through again to complete what will be his 8th lap of the race with 8 minutes and 21 seconds to go. Let's just have another look, though, at that move that we saw a few moments ago. Here it is. So it's down towards Tower Corner. He's on the left-hand side of the circuit, then he switches to the right, up the inside of Colin Chapman, and that's Matt Thomas getting through into 7th place. Nicely done.
8 laps completed by the race leader, Richard Webb. He's 13 seconds ahead of Michael Roots now, and Paul Smith hasn't come through to the end of the 3rd lap, I don't think. So Ryan Yarrow has been... Oh, no, Paul... so he had a slow lap. He is still 3rd, and he's got a bit of a transponder issue, I think. But Paul Smith has almost been re-caught, has he, by Ryan Yarrow? Yeah, so both those drivers in 3rd and 4th positions have obviously had a moment. And behind, Paul Rogers has got himself up ahead of Dan Clues, and Matt Thomas is going to try and buy into this. Going to get 2 places this time down in towards Tower Bend. So it is Rogers trying to defend both sides of the circuit. Well, he can't really do that, but he has been able to hang on. Matt Thomas comes around the outside of Clues. They're going to be side by side now as they head up towards the S's. Brave through here. These are quick cars as well with the 1 litre superbike engines, and they're side by side all the way through there in this slightly slippery track too. And Dan Clues is able to hang on, but as they battled, they lost so much time to Dan Clues. But now Matt Thomas dives up the inside through Sonny, but he still can't do it. Clues is such an experienced driver, but not in this type of car. He's able to hang on. Yes,
he raced F1000 for years and years and years, didn't he, before he got that championship in 2020. And has decided to stay with something 1000cc engined this year, but to move into to Sports 1000 racing, which has been interesting to see how F1000 and other categories within the 750 Motor Club have cross-pollinated. Usually it's been 750 Motor Club drivers going into F1000, so it's interesting to start to see some coming back the other way as well, in the shape of Dan Clues. 6.5 minutes to the race to go.
Ryan Yarrow's just set a personal best lap, so that obviously means the track's getting better, and he's got ahead of Paul Smith in the meantime too. So Paul Smith is still there. Oh,
no, he's not. He's not.
So I'm getting confused with this Paul Smith transponder problem as well, aren't I? So Paul Smith still is 3rd, maybe not for too long, but he is. He's not currently shown on the timing screens. He's got this transponder issue that's extra confusing me, as well as maybe some of you at home.
So we've got now back lap traffic being involved as well. Stephen Dean and Daniel Ashby are in amongst this. They're now a lap down on some of the cars that are going through as well. So a bit more reason for confusion. But watching Dan Clues and Matt Thomas. They're 5th and 6th at the moment. No, they're not. They're 6th and 7th, aren't they? Once we add Paul Smith with his dodgy transponder back in. 5.5 minutes to go. That's Jonathan McGill going through.
So far ahead of Richard Webb. He's just crossed the line for another lap back in the 1:24. So he is pushing on. We've completed 10 laps and he's way ahead of anybody else. Not sure how much he's raced rear-engine cars either, because of course we saw in that front-engine Spire he's done a lot of racing Caterhams and that sort of thing with RLM engine in it.
Yeah.
But not so much racing in rear-engine cars.
Well, he's raced in the Sports Prototype Cup last year in the Revelation. So he raced against Hunt and Lauderall, their sons, of course, and had an overall win in the second race there. He's also done some racing in the CSCC Magnificent Sevens and one off in bike sports as well. He used to race bikes actually with Thundersport GB Club as well. Before turning to car racing.
Here's that battle for third between Paul Smith and Ryan Yarrow. They're absolutely together as they head up towards Tower. Ryan Yarrow pulls to the left-hand side of the circuit. Paul Smith is going to hang on, though, the multiple Formula V champion. There was such a period in V's, wasn't there, Ian, where Paul Smith was just unbeatable.
Yeah.
But he moved into Sports 1000. It sort of started off well, and then he had problems with this car, so it's great to see him back, and he's kept pursuing those issues, and he's had this strong run in this race to get up onto the podium. Not sure he's actually done much battling with Ryan Yarrow in the past, because sort of Yarrow come on strong when Paul Smith he wasn't able to do so much racing.
Yeah, that's right.
So two quick drivers here, a former champion in the category, Ryan Yarrow, and then championships elsewhere for Paul Smith.
Yeah, 4 of them in Formula V, but I'm sure he'd like to add a championship in something else other than Formula V as well. Just to prove that he's not a complete one-trick pony. He's out of the hairpin here. He's still ahead of Ryan Yarrow. There's 3 minutes and 40, I believe 3 laps left to go in this race. And Yarrow in the tow as they head down towards Clairvaux, but he's not able to find a way past the tail of Paul Smith there. Paul will be just hoping that this car gets to the end after some of the dramas that he's had in the build-up to the event, of course. And not really racing for much of the past couple of seasons. Be interesting. I mean, I think they've both had problems here, but they're now going to go side by side as they go down towards Tower Corner. Smith on the inside line, Yarrow on the outside line, and it's Smith in second place as they turn through Tower Corner. Yarrow in third.
Third and fourth.
Third and fourth, beg your pardon, yes, with Roots there in second place, but not a lot to choose between them, Josh.
No, that's right. So it was interesting to see how quick Smith was able to catch, and now he's run out wide through the S's, and Ryan Yarrow's gone back through. But my point I was going to make was how Smith caught Yarrow really quickly at the beginning of the race. But then as soon as Yarrow was on the back of Smith, he picked his pace up and sort of exceeded Smith's pace and has got ahead of him with the assist of that small error through the Jim Clark S's. It just meant that Paul Smith slid a little wide and he's dropped therefore to fourth. The battle behind that's continued. That's been all race long, really, hasn't it? Between Paul Rogers, Dan Clues and Matt Thomas joined in. But he hasn't been able to pass the front two in this battle.
No, I did suggest he might get, well, to fifth at least, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. So it's 8-8 Richard Webb leading, 2 Michael Root second, 14 Paul Smith. Down behind, of course, number 1 Ryan Yarrow, so third is Yarrow, fourth is Smith, fifth 43 Paul Rogers, sixth is number 8 Dan Clues. There's 2 minutes left to go.
Richard Webb has been a full second faster on best laps than anybody else on this grid, which is amazing, isn't it? It's so quick. As you say, a real mix of experience, hasn't he, had in the past? But he's going to be difficult to beat this season, it would appear. There's Paul Smith. Now, are there problems reoccurring? Because he's dropped quite a long way behind Ryan Yarrow. Either that or Yarrow's picked his pace up, which could be possible, but here's about a sixth with Matt Thomas again. Does a banzai move up the inside into Tower, but Dan Clues brake desperately late to to hold him off, and he's managed it just about. So again, some really good battling here between the fastest cars we're seeing this weekend on the 750 Motor Club Bill at Croft. And such spectacular cars, aren't they, on this circuit? Still running on treaded tyres, of course, and some of the fastest cars you can get for that the value as well, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah, most bang for your buck, I think, in pretty much any championship you could care to mention here. So there is Smith, and then the next car through is Rogers. So Smith 4th, Rogers 5th, then Clues 6th, Thomas 7th, Chapman 8th. Then Jonathan McGill 9th, and then quite a gap back then to the 10th place car for Hutchins.
Paul Rogers had a big slide there through the complex, which has given Dan Clues a chance to look up the inside. Matt Thomas was looking up behind. They're about to start their final lap of the race. and it's side by side then for 5th across the line, but Paul Rogers just about hangs on, and Colin Chapman has closed them in once more, so that's going to be a 4-car battle on this final tour of the Croft circuit for today for these competitors. Paul Rogers, though, hangs on through Clairvaux, and Matt Thomas dives up the inside through Hawthorns. He's almost leaning along Dan Clues. He's certainly spectacular. He doesn't quite, though, make the move as they head their way up towards Tower for their final time. And again, Matt Thomas is trying to find a way past.
Yeah, he is. So he's desperate to get hold of 6th position. He's desperate to get it away from Dan Clues into the braking zone. He's going to go way around the outside of Tower Corner, is he? No, it's not quite going to work. He runs out wide over the curve. He'll lose place. He's got to be careful not to lose too much time on Colin Chapman to get through. But meanwhile, here comes Richard Webb through, out of the hairpin, up towards the line. He takes the checker flag to win round 1 of the RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship for 2022. And he wins it by a very comfortable margin indeed, more than 19 seconds.
Let's catch up on the battles behind. Paul Rogers is catching Paul Smith, who's ailed rather what in the last couple of laps with some kind of issue. So it could be 4th for one of this lot before the end. So Roots are 2nd, 3rd for Yarrow. Then 4th. Oh, Matt Thomas has lost it in the background. Matt Thomas. I mean, how did he save that? He was right backwards, I think, into the complex. Don't think he lost a position, but I was convinced that car was not facing the right direction.
Oh, and Paul Smith, dramas right towards the end. He's lost out to Paul Rogers, and he might just about lose out to Dan Clues as well. In fact, I think he may just have held on by a fraction of a second. No,
he's that transponder
issue,
didn't
transponder
he?
issue. It'll take a moment for us to work out exactly where he has finished, Paul Smith, but dramas at the end, and possibly some of the reliability issues he's had have come back to haunt him there.
He's almost 20 minutes without issues. So the timekeepers have filled Paul Smith in 6th place then, just behind Dan Clues. But he's got more work to do, haven't they, tonight to try and get that car resolved for a better run tomorrow. But there's Richard Webb, an outstanding performance. He slowed up a bit on the last lap, so his winning margin was just under 18 seconds. But let's take a look at those full results of the first round of the championship. Yeah,
Richard Webb, the winner, and by a convincing margin as well. 17.65 seconds it was in the end. I think he got the fastest lap as well, so he will start on pole position tomorrow too. So that's number 88, the winner. Second, number 2, Michael Roots. Third, number 1, Ryan Yarrow, despite that spin at Tower. Paul Rogers, a late beneficiary of problems for Paul Smith. Number 43 came home in 4th place, ahead of number 8, Dan Clues, and Smith, number 14, eventually classified in 6th position. 7th was number 77, the spectacular Matt Thomas, ahead of number 63, Colin Chapman. In 8th place was, 9th place, number 72, Jonathan McGill. Phil Hutchins it was that rounded out the top 10. James Foley, on his return to Sports 1000, he finished in 11th place, a fairly close scrap with number 44, Carl Austin. Gary Mitchell was the first of the Invitation Class Global GT Lights in 13th place, ahead of Ian Hutchinson 14th, Stephen Dean 15th, and Daniel Ashby in 16th position, with the second Global Light of Ian Mitchell rounding out the 17 car field. I think they did all make it to the checkered flag, which was great to see. And the Sports 1000s, they will be out for their second race of the season, second race of the weekend tomorrow, and the grid for that one determined by the fastest lap times set by each driver in race 1. So more RLM Racing Sports 1000 action tomorrow. Still plenty of racing to come this afternoon, as we've got coming up next the new look K-Tech Racing Clio Sport Championship. New name for that for this season. We'll tell you more about that in just a few moments' time. We've got to hear first, though, from our successful driver from the RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship first. We'll do that in just a few moments. Here at Croft Circuit, where I think the rain has stopped, but it's still looking pretty overcast. And we can now go down to Chris Stevens in the pit lane once more, and he is going to speak to Richard Webb.
Well, Richard Webb, the winner of the RLM Sports 1000 Championship. A fantastic start to the season. The brand new car victorious on debut.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a bit of a dream come true. We were here a couple of weeks ago testing for the first time. It's the first time the car had turned a wheel since Paul and Tim had built the car, and it was quick out the box. We sort of kept as much under our hats as possible. Never wanted to give as much away, but the team had done an absolutely superb job, and I can't fault the car or the team today. It was brilliant.
For Paul Nightingale, he said that this is his last season at the helm of Spire Sports Cars. This is just a great way to honour him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Paul's built some incredible cars over the year, and it's a real pleasure to be driving for him this year, and I just hope I can do him justice. So we've started as we mean to sort of finish the rest of the season, hopefully.
Can I ask you about the conditions at the start of the race? It looks a little bit sketchy out there on the first lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit unnerving. Coming from bike racing, I suppose, it doesn't worry me so much. Those conditions, I'd say, favour me a little bit. So actually, when it started to do that, I was quite confident that we could get away. And it was quite nice that the conditions didn't last too many laps. Gave us a few little drizzles through the race just to keep us on our toes, but overall the track came pretty good after a couple of laps.
So the aim surely is victory again in race 2?
Absolutely, that's always the aim.
All right, good man. Well, congratulations again, and good luck for race 2. We have Michael Roots over here, car number 2. Not a bad way to start the season there.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, thanks for everyone for all their hard work. But yeah, it was not a good race for me in terms of knowing how hard to push and stuff like that. So fair play to Rich, he just cracked on and smashed it from the start really. And yeah, I was in no man's land on my own, I think.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lonely race. I mean, just challenging the conditions there, really.
Yeah, it wasn't nice out there. It was, and one half of the track was wet, one half of it was dry, and then it was changing. So yeah, I just didn't know really how hard to push. And obviously, when you're at speed, it's so deceiving as well. So you're trying to feel for grip, and in 1 minute it was slippery down there, and then it's dry. So yeah, not great.
Well, hopefully it's better conditions for you in race 2. We have Ryan Yarrow around here, hopefully somewhere. Yes, here he is. So Ryan, the defending champion, back up on the podium. You had a really good battle with Paul there.
Yeah, it was fun, although I shouldn't have made the stupid mistake of letting him past in the first place. Because it was frustrating, because I knew I was faster than him, but I just could not get past. It's a really difficult track to pass on.
I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We're going to have to go back up to Ian for the start of the K-Tech Racing Clio Sport Championship. Back up to you, Ian.